I'm here with Jim Doffet and Tom and Colin, Thomas Wilhelm and Colin Hand from Blade of Grass. This is an amazing company. I don't know how many projects we've collaborated on now, but they're always amazing. And Tom, I'm going to give a shout out to Tom because Tom introduced me when I was, just started my company, started to introduce me to clients who really valued and appreciated my skills and talent and really helped. You
did some fun projects.
Yeah, we did. So really love working with you guys. Really, and at the foundation of that is design build and this philosophical accountability for a project. And Jim's the founder of the company, and you come from the design background, right? As I did.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. We started build pretty early on.
Yeah.
And just kind of added to the scope of what we could do over the last maybe 10 years, like full hardscaping and construction and everything really now, irrigation, everything under our docket.
Yeah, awesome. And you mentioned that design build is happening now. People are becoming more aware of it. You mentioned a group that you're a part of.
Yeah, a really solid group that I met through the national APLD conferences, and they're all similar. We all have the same business model, and we're all design build. And so we got together and started doing monthly conversations, which has been really helpful.
Oh, awesome. What's APLD stand for?
Association of Professional Landscape Designers.
Awesome. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But so it's a design group, but a lot of them are design builders.
They're all design builders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about just, letting clients know about design build. I love when a client is speaking to us and an architect. And I don't know if that's a common element for you guys because you do a very high level design and it's more presenting. I think it's similar to us where we're presenting ourselves as designers and architects who also build. But can you talk about that, how that indicates to clients, how that makes sense to them? Or
just one of the things I was just going to say, within APLD, there's both designers and there's design build companies. And I've found over the years, the design build companies are much more cognizant about costs.
Yeah.
They understand costs.
Yeah.
There's been numerous occasions where we've gone into projects that people have had just a designer design, and then they had numbers run, and the costs were astronomical, far outside anything they had ever wanted or envisioned. And that's because in a lot of cases, designers aren't quite as familiar with costing as we are. So that's a big plus to design build is we can start talking right out the gate from that initial meeting when we go to a client's house. Oh, you're talking about a swimming pool. You're talking about a fireplace. You're talking about, these are the kind of costs you're talking. And it's interesting to see how it either stays in play or immediately goes, oh, well, we don't need a fireplace that much or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
So I think that's a great piece
as opposed to doing full documents, getting it out to bid, only to find that same thing out.
Totally
yeah.
I was going to actually ask you how you do that. Like the whole navigating those waters, we have a pretty good system, I think, set up in how we do it. And so, do you want to hear the story?
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
So when we meet clients for the first time, we tell them that they've got a couple different ways that they can go and when they're working with us. And one is if they have a set budget to let us know what that is and we'll design to that. And then in some ways that's easier for us because we know how to get the most impact for any budget, right?
Yeah.
And we're not putting a lot of time into something that's not going to happen possibly, right? And the other option we tell people is that we can go and do kind of every idea we can think of, just kind of go a little bit crazy and then put associated costs with each part of that. And then they can pick and choose when we present it. And we say, and it's true, like 90% of people go with that option.
Yeah.
What I like about it is it took a lot of the pressure out of when we let them have the kind of opportunity to pick and choose what they want, and we took kind of the stress off of we're not showing up and saying, here's a $400,000 project and we need you to do all of it. It puts the onus back on them and takes a lot of the stress off, and a lot of times they do a lot, if not all of it, but that really helped a lot. I see people that go in, like some of the non-design build companies go in and they do the same thing where it's because it's not as important to them that they do the install, and we really want to have that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But they go in and these clients get some just outrageous number and they're just completely caught off guard.
Right.
Really unpleasant for them and it's embarrassing, really.
Yeah. I think our process is similar, and I think philosophically, the product of just an architect or a designer is the plans, right? It's not necessarily where it's for all of us, it's the build.
Right.
So we need to think with cost
Right.
to get to the build, right? In an efficient manner, I think. And you can still get there without a design build firm. It's just not as efficient.
Right.
And so why wouldn't you want to roll?
And we know what to take out to get, the same general look or feel.
Yeah.
But something that you not, take a wall out and put boxwoods in, or something that's like, 80% less expensive, but you still get the feeling of the outdoor room.
Yeah,
or,
totally. And it's not, I'm just like, if you see this work, it's a high level design. It's not, builder grade, contractor grade. It's, but I think sometimes design build can have a negative connotation of that, but true design build is having all elements at a high level, bringing the optimal design. But cost is a factor, even for clients who have the means to do a significant project. If you ask them which way they'd like to go, would you like to go find out costs and have options presented to you so you can make logical decisions as you go, or would you rather fall in love with something only to find out, at the end, and then have to revisit and what have you. So
we make a joke when we tell, when we give them the option of let us put together. What I like about the putting together all the ideas and then letting them pick and choose what they want is that a lot of our clients many of them do have the budget if they can see what it is that they want. A lot of times they can't even imagine.
yeah.
So if we can go and just put together all the best use of the property we can think of, a lot of times they get really psyched about that and they want to do it, or some version of that, right? And if we didn't know that it was okay to just put together all those ideas and hadn't already navigated some of the kind of repercussions of that budget-wise, then we would be a lot more restrained and they wouldn't get as much of that kind of really cool project.
Totally.
Really, it's a lot of times it ends up that they do some version of, if not the whole thing.
Yeah.
The other thing too I find is a huge benefit in design build is how do you discuss phasing when you're not in communication with the people who are actually building it. Whereas when you have a design build, you can talk about 2020, 2022. How do we make sure that 2022 doesn't have redundant costs? All that is really inefficient when you have an architect and a builder.
That's a great
you might
point.
not even have the same builder on the second phase. So
Yeah.
I think, considering that, personally in my life and in what I've experienced with clients, nobody bites the whole apple at once. So that is a huge value to the
Yeah,
clients.
totally. It puts them in control.
It puts them in the control.
And if you're not able to, if you're just showing designs separate from costs, a client is bound to have to maybe revisit that once cost is put there. So giving them all the information at once allows them to be in control. And I think it just makes sense. It's simpler.
We can make a joke about though when they get that number, and we joke about it, but we're really pretty serious. Is like, so if we're putting together all of our ideas, when you get that, I say it like almost exactly like this one. Like when you get that number, it's gonna totally blow you out of the water. It's gonna be a horrible number, and just be prepared for that. Like, if we're not holding back at all, then I'm literally gonna put in everything I can think of. But we can take out like 40% of the cost. We can figure out how to do that quickly and still have the integrity of the design. But if you're okay with that, just let us come up with everything. And I think giving them that forewarning, and we send them the cost before we meet them.
Yeah.
So they have a
Okay.
chance to digest it.
Separate from the design.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
We always joke but they always are still like, okay, come on over. Still meet with
They
you.
don't have a heart attack.
Right. Yeah.
I think the other thing that's really important about design build is that we're often asked to curate what it is that they're looking for in terms of material choices. Like surprisingly enough, we have very few of our clients that ever say to us, "Oh, well, I don't like X or Y or Z that you put in my design." They're because they're less familiar with outside stuff.
Yeah.
They have something called magnolia or cherry tree or something they kind of love and want to have, but for the most part, they're depending on us to curate the materials that get chosen, the paving around their pools, the decking materials, the staircasing, that we're finding the materials that aesthetically work given the design of their house, the style of their house and their lives and stuff like that. So that's kind of fun too. And that as design build, we can change things up as we're going into the process in a way that has a lot more flexibility
Yeah.
than having to go back to an architect and then go through the whole.
Right. We're trying to get better about that because it is true we can flex and bend on site, and a lot of times, well, what we're trying to get better about it, it's like, oh, I actually don't like that wall exactly like that. We're trying not to do changes like that, but
Yeah.
we could, right?
Yeah.
And,
Right.
and cover, and if we're kind of far enough ahead of it, it doesn't necessarily cost us or the client.
Right. And the client will never get stuck in between
Right.
the architect
True.
and the, installers. And that is huge. Yeah.
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 So
You hear that all the time. They
Yeah.
get whipsawed in between those.
totally. I mean, it's a set up that way.
Yeah.
It's an adversarial
Yeah.
kind of setup, whereas
I mean, there's also part of it too that's really beneficial for us too, because you put a lot of heart and brain power into crafting a design and working with people over a design for a couple months, and it really kind of stinks when you get to an impasse and say this isn't going to happen or we're not going
Right.
to be going forward. So
And that doesn't happen.
it doesn't
very
happen
often.
as
No,
much in
yeah.
design builds.
Yeah.
Never, just because we figured out how to navigate all that.
So we get to maintain these great relationships with our clients years beyond
yeah,
the initial design, which is cool.
yeah, that is.
You see their kids grow,
Yeah.
you watch the properties change. And
Right. I
Yeah.
don't think we'd have any interest. I don't personally, and I wouldn't have any desire to put all the time and energy into a really cool design and not be part of the whole process.
Mm.
I can't imagine just turning it over and that's it. Like,
Right.
I have no interest in that at all.
Totally. I mean, that is the product, right? So as an artist, our product is not the plans. It is the actual creation and being able to see the effect of, the day-to-day use. When folks get home, they brighten up. Their lives are better for the spaces that
You find some really cool magnolia with the yellow flowers, right? Like you can do these variations, stay within the budget, but it's just like that little extra something that you wouldn't get if you just went off some plan that you just passed off.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, and we often say, a plan is just a 2D representation of a 3D product. So it's open to interpretation. And if a plan
Yeah.
gets out of your hands and out of your control, then it's wildly open to interpretation because as design build, we don't do a lot of CDs. We don't do a lot of construction documentation.
Right.
So we're not specifying the fireplace is going to be X, Y, Z height. We
Yeah.
know that in-house.
Yeah.
We've shown pictures of that.
Yeah.
So clients have a very clear sense of exactly what we're building them, but we don't produce a lot of construction documentation. So if they go off to somebody else's hands, then it's open to their interpretation of what that should look like and how that should work.
I'm just thinking more so with you guys than me, I think, because, I have a fixture
Oh yeah.
where you have live living
Structures.
and stone, which is, you can't particularly, it's not gonna,
Lot of
not,
variations.
yeah, exactly. So just setting expectations, but the fact that it's the same entity, I mean, that is huge. I mean, I'm especially in landscaping, I would imagine. So.
Yeah, but we know the masons we're going to send out, and we know what their skill set is. It's not going to be the lowest denominator that was found in a couple phone calls that says, "Oh yeah, I can do it."
So,
No, you can't. Not
Yeah.
the way that it's supposed to look. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a huge benefit for us, but also for the clients too, because we are safeguarding the budget. We are safeguarding the quality of the project from start to finish as much as we can.
cool. Awesome. Well, thank you guys.
problem.
Really appreciate it. Really trying to educate folks out there, because I think in our industry, it is aware, it is happening, but I think societally at large could become more aware of it as just what it is and how
I
it
think
works.
it's changing fast though. Like,
Yeah.
I think when we first started doing this, it was a lot more where people didn't get it.
Mhm.
And I think now, I mean, a lot of it has to do too with the client has to trust you, right? If they're kind of locking in with you at the beginning, they have to know that they're getting into something that feels right in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's good.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.